Do you know how to analyze the various different components of an email to determine if it's legitimate or not? We'll bet you didn't think of some of the issues that we discuss. In about 8 minutes, we'll take you through the 8 steps you need to weed out those fraudulent emails.
Welcome to the AP Now podcast, the podcast that covers trends, insights, and emerging issues impacting every accounts payable function.
Hi guys, welcome. I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, the place where you go for all the latest business intelligence you need if you work in, manage, or have responsibility for the accounts payable function. Today's episode focuses on evaluating email to determine if it's legit or if it's one of those phony ones. We've got 8 different areas where you should look before responding to an email that asks for either money or for some sort of critical data. For as we've all learned painfully, there are a ton of fraudulent emails out there, and they're trying to get us to send them money or information that they're not entitled to. Stick around to the end because we've got a few things that you might not ordinarily think of. Okay, so let's start with the first issue and kind of the obvious one, and that is the address, the email address. You may look at it and it may look legitimate, but you need to really have it show. Either hit the reply key, but don't reply, or click on it so you can expand it and see what it is. Because it may say John Jones from ABC Company, but then when you click it out, it's xyzl@gmail.com or something like that. Okay, so you probably, or I'm hoping you know that one. The next thing that I want you to look at is the tone of the email. This is especially important if it's coming from somebody that you know. So for example, if it's a request or a supposed request for a wire transfer, a rush wire transfer from your CEO, your CFO, whoever, you want to look at how the wording is. Is this how they normally send their emails? Is this how they talk? I had one a while ago from a woman that I do some work with at a not-for-profit. It was supposedly from her. It wasn't. And in it, the person said, "I'm slammed. I can't call you today," which is why it was supposedly the excuse for emailing for this rush wire transfer. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you knew this person, that is something she would never say. Okay, so just the tone of the email, the conversational style was not how she would talk. So again, you can maybe evaluate that if it's coming from somebody that you normally do a lot of business with or you normally get a lot of emails from. That's number 2. Number 3, look at the signature. What do I mean by the signature? Well, if you get an email, let's say, again, go back to the CEO, the CFO, whatever it is, say his name is James Jones, and it's signed James Jones. Well, that's fine. But does he normally sign those emails James Jones? Does he normally sign them James? Does he normally sign them Jim? Or does he normally send them without a signature? There are a lot of people who just write whatever they're going to write, and they figure you know who it's from because, you can see their email address. So make sure that signature matches the signature that they normally use, because that's something that really does not change that much. Next thing you can look at is the signature block. Is there a signature block there? If yes, is it the signature block that this person normally uses? And if there's not one there, is there normally one there? So again, looking at just the signature block can be a dead giveaway. Again, one of the fraudulent ones I got supposedly from this woman that I worked with had this beautiful signature block. It had our logo on it and everything. The only problem is we didn't have a signature block that looked like that. So that was another dead giveaway that this was a phony email. Okay, next thing is just to take a minute, step back and think, does this make sense? A lot of the phony requests for W-2 forms could have been avoided if the person just stopped and thought for a minute and said, okay, is this something that our CEO would normally ask for? Does our CEO normally want to look at this depth of information? And most of the time with the W-2 fraud anyway, the answer to that is no. The CEO would never want to look at that stuff. One of the ones that I got with the same small not-for-profit, supposedly from the president, it said, can you send the bank account statements? Now, I don't know if they were trying to get our bank account number or they just wanted to see how much money we had before they tried their next little maneuver. It doesn't matter. They weren't getting it. And part of the reason was that I knew Never in a million years would this woman want to look at the bank account statements. That's just not how she operated. It's not how she was president at the time. It's not how she ran the organization. The money she left to me. Okay, so that was another dead giveaway. All right. Before we get to the last three, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. It's completely free, it's private, and you can unsubscribe at any time. By ringing that bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube, you'll be notified whenever we post new accounts payable content, which we do 2 or 3 times a week. And by the way, you don't need a YouTube account to subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe if you have a Gmail account. Okay, next thing to look at when you're evaluating, if you will, your emails. Is there anything odd? Is there anything out of the ordinary from the way that you do business? So, the big normal ones are all of a sudden a rush request for funds, a request for a drop shipment when you normally don't drop shipment, change of bank account. Why are they changing the bank account? Any of these things, they could be legitimate or they could not be legitimate. You want to verify them, okay? If it's anything out of the normal way that you do business, verify. Okay, next one. And we just did a short piece on this, an accounts payable soundbite, so you may have seen it. But is there an email warning band? You know those email warning bands, they say external message, so that, for example, if you get one supposedly from the CFO asking that you do a rush wire transfer and it's got the warning band on it, it's phony. Well, crooks have figured a way around this. So lack of the warning band does not necessarily mean it was an internal email. You have to, go through some of the other things that we've done. And lastly, is this the way we normally do business? So, for example, if you get a request for a rush wire transfer request from the CFO, does he normally or she normally send it directly to you, or does it normally go to the controller who then brings it down to you? So is whatever it is, whatever they're requesting, is it outside the normal way that you do business? And if it is, it may be legitimate, but it may not be. And so you need to do your verification. So those 8 things, you can do them pretty quickly. I know it took me, about 8 minutes to go through it all and explain it all to you. But once you get used to it and you're doing it, you can do it faster in your head. You need to go through these anytime you go to respond, especially if you're going to take some action that will result in money going or information. Don't forget, crooks can turn sensitive information into money. Okay. Do you have any other practices that you use when evaluating emails? If so, please share them in the comments section below so we can all benefit from them. Do you think you're good at spotting phony emails? We did an accounts payable soundbite on YouTube called Can You Spot This Phony Email Address? We'll have a link to it in the show notes below, and on YouTube, a link will appear to the left. As always, I greatly appreciate those thumbs up, those comments, those shares, and those subscribes. Good luck, guys.